Oh, I did it on the first try. Sorry. I could show you one that I struggled on. Hello everybody, welcome to Break Remake. I'm your host Joan. Today we're gonna do this. We are gonna talk about 2 ways to put in bias binding in a neckline. One with a V-neck, one with a curve. Curve, so easy. V-neck, pretty easy. Let me show you how to do it. Before we get too far into it, let's talk about the 2 kinds of bias tape there are. This one is extra wide double fold. That just means that it's like 1 inch plus whatever the first fold was. So it's like 2 inches wide and it's folded once and then twice. So this is good for finishing the edge of something and you don't mind it being seen. There's also single fold bias tape. That just means it's just got its little legs folded in. Whatever you're going to do to your fabric, you also need to do to your bias tape. So if you pre-wash, if you know for sure you're just going to dry clean, treat your bias tape like you would fabric and give it a wash so it doesn't shrink up after you've put it onto your lovely handmade garment. You'll see that one side of the bias is longer than the other. That is just for sewing purposes. You would sew the longer side last. By sewing the longer side last, you make sure that your stitches are covered when you stitch everything together. That will make sense more when we start sewing the bias to the garment. Let's dive right in. Let's do the V-neck one first. I feel like that's the one that people are the most like afraid of. The way I like to stitch bias on is to stitch the inside first, then wrap, and then top stitch it on the front. There's other ways to do it, but that's my personal preference because I feel like I can control the look better from the outside. So your first step with this is to find which side is the shorter side, open it up and pin it onto the inside of your garment. Where it's going to get tricky is at the V, but I'll show you while I'm stitching how to take care of that. Basically just moving the work in the machine, but pin just off sides of the point. Your point's gonna look weird and wobbly, but that's okay. We're gonna totally manipulate this as we stitch it. As you're stitching along, you will come to the V and all of your fabric wad will be like right there. What you wanna do is as you're sewing, you get to the point, bury your needle into the fabric, lift your presser foot, and then push all of your fabric and excess towards the back. What basically you're doing is turning like a soft corner. We're gonna clip it later too, so don't worry about it too much unless it looks really bad or you have a pucker. We'll see how I did. Okay, so no, I have a major pucker in mine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unpick it and then I think I'm gonna cut into the fabric so that turn is a little cleaner in the machine. Also, to alleviate the wrinkles, I'm gonna pin and sew one side of the V at a time. That way I can super control it. I ended up having to sew it 2 times just to get it right and nice and all pucker free. So what I'm going to do now is press this all over and then we can top stitch it. Now that it's all pressed, go ahead and pin it into place and then you can top stitch it. Yay, we did it! No, just kidding, we didn't do it. We have to take a pleat into the V to make it a V-neck. Right now it just looks like a U. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pin mark it and before we stitch it just to make sure we have the right angle and everything's going smoothly. Everything's smooth, nothing's puckering weird. We can go ahead and stitch this bad boy in. After you stitch it, give it a good press and you are in business. The business of putting V-neck bias tape in everything. Now you may be asking, what about a scoop neck? What if I want to put bias on a scoop neck? Friends, that is as easy as falling out of bed. For pinning the bias in, you don't need to think about what side's longer. You're just going to pin one side to the outside of the garment. What? To the outside? But you said you like to do the inside first. Yes, I do. We're going to pull this whole bias bound neckline inside so you don't see the bias. Magic. Now that it's all sewn on the front, the trick is using a bunch of steam to then fold this all back to the back and press it really good and crisp. Use steam. Use the most steam. Be the steamiest. Now you could do one of 2 things to this neckline. You could do a little pick stitch or you can just do a top stitch because it's not gonna slide around or do anything or be weird. It's not gonna give you pucker neck. I hate pucker neck. Bias tape stretches a little bit, a lot of it if you use steam. You can iron it and steam it and really pull it into whatever curve you'd like to. It's super easy and takes the shapes really nicely. You can also make your own continuous bias if you would like to see how that's done. Please let me know in the comments. That way you have bias tape that matches your project so you don't need to worry about it being screaming colors like I have. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more eco-friendly DIYs. We'll see you next time. Bye. Oh yeah, making necks. Oh yeah, not scary at all.